G'day, everybody, and welcome to the happy hour. And g'day to my special guest, VTX Crypto. How you going, man?
Good day, VTX in the building. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, man. Of course, we've seen you around the traps with the videos, and yeah, really impressed and really love to see the content. So great to have you on.
Beautiful, man. Thank you so much. My first official live stream. You
That's
know what
it.
inspired me, man? And I'm like
What's that?
26 videos in, was the
Yep.
Maddie Allen world record that he organized.
Awesome.
And when I jumped on that, I was just like, you know what? I've been watching all these streamers for like years.
Yeah.
And these are real people.
Yeah.
These are actually real
100%.
people. Let's jump in. Let's get involved. Let's start doing it.
Just your average guys, just, you know, having
Yeah.
a beer on a Friday arvo. So cheers to that. I've
Dude, this can is like so girthy. I feel like I'm drinking out of a Campbell's soup container.
Oh, Richard Hart would have girth envy over that one.
This puts the Red Bull can to shame.
Jesus, there's a word for that. I think I'm not sure if that translates, but I think it.
And you were telling me that y'all don't even really drink Fosters over there.
Man, I appreciate the effort you've gone to with the Fosters, and that is a ridiculously girthy can. But no, unfortunately, in Australia, we fully don't drink Fosters. Never have. I don't even see it around. It's not even really an option. So I think it just must be an international beer thing. So yeah, I think you were saying that there was an ad about it, and maybe Paul. Oh, we'll say hello to the chat here. But
Paul Agruda.
Yeah, he was saying that. Was that from an ad? Was it that?
Man, they ran these commercials when I was a kid all the time. They probably had them in the Super Bowl too back in the day, like Australian for beer.
That's crazy. Yeah.
What up, Paul? What up, King Django? What's up, guys?
Yeah. What up, Sandy? Shout out for RH. Yeah, we've got to pour one out for the EHEX homies, bro. That's
yeah.
It's been a rough week.
Well, it has been a rough week.
Yeah, man. I think I've got a video here of just how it feels.
Emotional damage.
Oh, I love that one. I have that on my soundboard. That's one of my favorite clips of all time. I love that guy.
That is so
But the
good.
thing is, like, if you're really like Team RH, you got all the coins. For real. Like, but I do understand there's people that kind of are like new and they're just joining in, or maybe they haven't even explored the PulseChain side. But I have a feeling that a lot of these people that are really emotional right now are like,
exactly.
They're like, come on, you guys, we got all the coins, man. And it's a whole ecosystem now. We're expanding. So, man, that was some severe price action.
Yeah, bro. Like, yeah, I think that's possibly, you know, a good lesson for everyone is just, you know, you got to be a bit stoic when it comes to crypto, because, you know, volatility is extreme, and that's why we get the outsized returns. You know, you don't see this kind of volatility in traditional finance and legacy finance sort of markets, but the volatility is the price you pay for the best, you know, asset class in the world. That's what RH says. And I think he's dead right. You just have to be able to ride out that volatility, and then you get the rewards. But if the second you see a red candle and you start, you know, rage quitting, then you're not going to make it.
Yeah, I agree completely with what you said. And I feel like there's a lot of people. So with the extreme volatility comes this, oh my God, I want to get rich quick. But it's still a long-term game. You still got to stick it out. The people that really won were the people that held long-term. And it's not even in comparison to people that try to, like, you know, play this 100%. Sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a get rich slowly almost. It's just like you have to have patience. I mean, crypto moves a mile a minute, you know, and 1 week, you know, can be a long time in crypto. But I think overall, the guys that perform the best are the ones that hodl. And it's just, yeah, it is what it is. You have to just sort of look at the chart, look at what the data is telling you, rather than your emotions, because you can't trust your emotions. Like, you can almost counter trade your emotions. And like, for example, you know, in the past where hex price has been going down or whatever, and everyone is just like, despondent and sort of saying, this is really, depressing and all this stuff. Those were the best times to be buying. Like,
Oh yeah.
100% of the time, when you see those comments, that's actually when you would have been getting the best deal. I'm just going to pull up my old mate True Blue. How you going there, buddy?
Yo, how's it going, man? How are you,
True
VTA?
Blue, what's up, man?
How's
How
it
are you?
going? Oh, nice to meet
great.
you. I've been watching
Very
some
nice
of
to
your
meet you
videos.
as well, man. Oh yeah, that's awesome, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, new
Yeah.
to the game. Just very grateful to be chatting with you guys today.
That's
Awesome,
really
man.
cool.
Thank you so much for coming on, especially since 43 couldn't make it today. But yeah, no, you seem like a really chill guy, and really like your content. So check out VTX Crypto's YouTube, and on Twitter. It's a VTX_crypto on Twitter.
I don't know.
It's something like that. We'll pull it up.
I think
We'll
it's straight through. It's straight through. There's no underscore. It's just
Okay,
VTX Crypto.
Let me just have a quick look here. So
yeah, I'm still trying to navigate the social media world.
Yeah, so that it's VTX_crypto is your @ like that's the either that or I'm looking at the wrong guy. Oh no, you follow me.
No,
so
that's me.
You.
That's definitely me.
That's good. I'm like, you've got a imposter already, bro. You've made it.
No, man. I dropped the shades though for just out of respect. So we're having a conversation today. But usually when I make the videos, I like to have the shades on.
I was about to say about the shades. Yeah, they're beautiful.
Man, these ones, those are fun.
Yeah, I love the shades, man. They're cool. Although, is it hard to see? Because we did an Aussie stream, True Blue and I had these Aussie glasses on with the Australian flag, and I couldn't see jack out of them. I was just like,
it's extremely hard to see, and I have them literally gaff taped to my regular glasses so I can attempt to.
Oh, awesome!
Nice.
So there you go. Follow VTX because he's putting in the hard yards, and he's even taping glasses on top of glasses. So
yeah, man. Maybe I'll get a third pair.
He's putting in the effort. How you been, True Blue? What's been happening, mate?
Yeah, not been too bad. I don't know what I've missed, but the market's crashing all of a sudden.
Yeah, so, just a bit of emotional damage, but
yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Even I just quickly checked the price of Bitcoin, and that's I know everyone gets outraged and they're like, oh, it's crashing, but yeah, obviously it's correcting down a bit, which is a bit interesting. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's been going pretty hard. So yeah, no, otherwise going good. Just trying to gobble up these dips.
Yeah. Well, that's really interesting. I was going to pull up a couple of things. So this was a tweet from Carl Hex. Shout out to him. And he pointed out a really interesting thing about one of these tweets from RH. And we can have a look at some of the RH tweets as well. But so basically, long story short, during the week, RH has sort of come out and said that, maybe I should go full screens for this. So yeah, like long story short, RH has come out and basically said that, the market has decided and we're going to effectively go with Hex on PulseChain as the Hex moving forward. And it's more of a migration than a like a coin split, I guess. And I mean, it's a bit of a bitter pill to swallow because, a lot of us have got eHex stakes, staked out, and obviously the price has crashed and things like that on the Ethereum side. And then because of the bonded liquidity, that's also affect the PulseChain side as well. But I think maybe the point of all of this was to focus everyone's energy and everyone's buying power on the PulseChain side rather than getting chopped up in Ethereum gas fees and splitting the purchasing power onto the Ethereum side, just focusing it all on the PulseChain side. So I kind of feel like it's a bit of a bitter pill to swallow because I was kind of, hedging a little bit and sort of thinking we'll wait and see what happens. But in saying that, I'd already kind of swapped most of my liquid eHex into Pulse from the very, very start.
Nice.
So, because that ratio was out of control, and I was like so frothing over PulseChain that I was like, got to get more Pulse. And so that's kind of worked for me, and also because I didn't want to pay the Ethereum gas fees, So I've been, buying on the PHEX side, like the PulseChain side, and doing my stakes on the PulseChain side, as you would. Like, I don't think anyone's would be really making stakes on the Ethereum side. I don't see why they would do that, knowing full well that's why PulseChain was invented. Yeah.
Working over on the Ethereum side is just horrendous. Like, even just going to look, some of these meme coins were popping off and stuff, and you look at it and it's like, you go to see what a trade would cost, and it's just like, what's the point in that? Unless you got, millions, and you're putting in a big amount. But it's unusable.
I was paying $100 a swap during the week. Yeah. Just for
Did you guys ever try like the limit orders?
Yeah.
Because I think the person who fills it is the one that actually ends up paying the gas fee when you do limit orders.
Yeah, like
Cow swap or like Matcha. I know Matcha. I think Matcha blocked Hex actually, which is crazy. But if you're doing meme coins, even though some people are saying eHex is a meme coin now, but
well, I would push back a little bit on that, only because it still has all the utility, right? Like the eHex, it still has all of the staking mechanisms and all of the things. It's not just, a picture of a JPEG. So I think that's probably, it's funny, to call it a meme coin now, but I think realistically, no, it still has function. The problem is that now that the founder has kind of shunned it, I guess it may be taken up by other people, degens and meme coin guys that might pump it for their whatever reason. So in that regard, maybe it has come a little bit like that, but it's such a tough pill to swallow, I reckon, that to just like let it go. Like, a lot of people talk about this firstborn thing, but it's like, I think we just have to accept it, that RH has sort of made the decision. It's like a captain's call, and you got to go with it. Otherwise, you're swimming against the tide.
He said early on, I remember from streams before PulseChain launched, like, he was like, Hex is going to be on PulseChain and eHex is going to be eHex. I remember that from like way back. Yeah. Like, it wasn't surprising when he said, like, it didn't really surprise me at all.
Great point, man. Great point. Yeah. It's he has hinted at this. I mean, he posted that montage of him saying this stuff. There was a tweet ages back where he literally said, it looks like the market has decided, and so that to me was a really good indication that PHEX was the future, or just Hex. It's in the name. There's no preface. There's no, it's just Hex. And so I think and I've always been trying to target my, shilling on Twitter to just sort of say Hex on PulseChain, because I think that also people kind of go, I'm interested in Hex. Oh, it's on PulseChain. Okay, what do I have to do to get on PulseChain?
Yeah, people got to be in on PulseChain, period. Like,
yeah, man. Yeah.
PulseChain is clean, man. I love PulseChain.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So quick, so cheap. I mean, True Blue, you were talking about those fees, $80 a swap, things like that. Yeah, you're paying cents for swaps over here on PulseChain. And you can do all your liquidity farming. Like, you can do your PHEX, wrapped Pulse, or even wrapped ETH, wrapped Pulse, I think is a really good farm, because when the price of Pulse goes down, you're effectively buying up Pulse. You're buying the dip, you know what I mean? And then when the price of Pulse goes up, you're sort of DCAing out almost, and you're getting paid in ETH, which is also going up as well, in theory. So, and then you're getting paid ink for the privilege, which is also going up.
Yeah, it seems like a good idea. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's wicked. So
those farms are juicy, and if ink keeps going up,
oh man,
yeah, those farms are juicy. And it's crazy because, like, to pair like the new cycle coins like Pulse and PulseX, or even ink, if you really want to get into that, it's like, because your impermanent loss comes in really when those prices deviate. You know what I mean? But if you're like this whole ecosystem, like, all right, it's like if you're going into the stables, like, you basically know there's going to be severe impermanent loss. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But like, wait, I can earn like 20%, 40% in ink that can appreciate, And all of these should pump up because they're liquidity bonded as the whole ecosystem grows is fire.
Yeah. Those PLSX ink farms, yeah, I like those as well. Yeah, I mean, it only 40-50% APR. I mean, the wrapped ETH, wrapped Pulse farms are like over 100%. So, yeah, they're juicy, man. It's
Juicy.
the juicy dangler, just dangling the ink carrot, and
the temptation
all
is
about
high.
it.
Yeah. It's very
Just
high.
oh, go for it.
Go ahead. No, you got it.
Just talking on the EHEX thing, I've been thinking about it a bit, and it sort of turns into it's turned into one of those narratives that a lot of people are talking about. Sort of, I don't know, that they've been talking about it since the beginning, before PulseChain came out. What the value will be of EHEX and PHEX, and talking about the ratios, and that EHEX is going to live, and that's been a narrative that's lived on since then. And I think it's a nice reminder for us now. Hopefully, not too many people got mega wrecked by only buying EHEX lately, because if you've got copies and stuff, you should probably be okay. But yeah, I think we've got to be careful with the narratives and the things that people start talking about, and then they echo to the next person, and they keep going through different streamers or influencers or things on Twitter, where everyone starts to believe that EHEX will go, when you really think about it, it makes sense that it has to be let to rest, sort of thing. So I think we just got to be careful of things getting out of hand with people believing everything that people say.
Oh, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. Like, it's kind of like it can go, but there's nothing. I never give anything a 0% chance or 100% chance. That's just wild. Like, nobody knows the future. But it's like, how much risk are you willing to take on that, given the way the community is right now, and the way, you know what I mean? And the founder, people have all these opinions about RH and how he tweeted about it, and I'd like to hear your guys' opinions as well too. But at the end of the day, if we're in this ecosystem and that's the captain of the ship, no matter how you feel about it, you can't really be feeling like you have to just ride with it. Like, we're sailing the ship and we got to figure it out, like one way or the other. You know what I mean? So, like, none of us are just going to jump up and start taking the reins. So,
I think there's been a lot of Karens on Twitter this week having a cry.
A good cry.
And they're just literally, all I hear is all I hear is tears. And I mean, it's like that this was always on the cards. Like, this whole scenario, this is not a shock really to anyone that this is on the cards. And so what you were just saying, VTX, I fully agree with that. We've got to be a little bit careful with our language, and I said this in the previous streams as well, that we don't use ultimatums, that we don't use finite, final sort of wording in the way that we say things. So, and particularly because it's not financial advice. So that's one way, to think of it. But it's also because you don't know what's going to happen, right? So you have to have a little bit of humility and say, the market does what the market does, and we can offer suggestions, and we might say, like, there was a period where Hex was outperforming Pulse, and it went from 100 Pulse per Hex up to 240 Pulse per Hex, and then so people saying that Hex is better than Pulse or whatever, they would have been right for that time frame because it outperformed it. And then it's been on this massive downtrend where Hex has gone back down to and even below 100 Pulse per Hex. Yeah. So that ratio has swapped. And now Pulse has been outperforming Hex for like quite a long time. So for people in that, within the context of that time frame, people saying that Pulse is better than Hex, they would have been right. So you can only be right for a given time frame. It doesn't make sense to be saying, and we might be saying, okay, X on PulseChain is the future. This is what's happening, but we're also conscious of the fact that proto dank sharding came out on Ethereum mainnet on Wednesday, our time, and that's only really affected the gas on the layer 2s, Arbitrum and Optimism, but it is a step on the way to full dank sharding. So when Ethereum goes full dank sharding, their gas fees might be significantly reduced, and then maybe EHEX comes back. So if you're thinking like really long term, you know, maybe people can still argue that there's a future for EHEX down the road, but right now there isn't, you know. And it's like, we should focus our messaging to be like the cheapest way, you know, and to get in terms of like doing stakes and things like that is on PulseChain, and cheapest way to do liquidity providing, farming, all that sort of stuff is all on PulseChain. And that's the future. That's the solution that to the Ethereum gas problem.
Yeah, the market can change what it's decided. You know, there's the tweets saying the market has decided that, you know, PHEX is the one. Yes. But the market changes, doesn't it? It's continually changing. And yeah,
we have to adapt.
Yeah,
we have to adapt. Sorry to interrupt, bro, but yeah, we have to adapt to that changing market. Yeah,
that's right. And
go ahead.
That, you know, calls to Wall-to-Wall's TV's comment at the his latest one there, or hers, saying that none of us were saying it has to go last week, as in EHEX. And to be real, you know, it's all well and good saying that, but I guess in your investment thesis, or when you're buying stuff, like I've always said, I'm just going in on most of them, and, you know, DCAing and you never know which way it's going to go, and everyone said that. So you're just hedging your bets. But if you were to be buying only EHEX and you're someone that's wrecked because of that, probably wasn't the best move, because I don't see anyone saying only buy EHEX.
Yeah, I think VTech said that earlier. Like, you know, you're spreading your risk around, like
absolutely
a few of these coins. So it's not like you're all in. Like, no one ever said to go all in on EHEX.
100%.
And
even if, I'm sorry.
And I was just going to say, yeah, people were talking about perpetuals, but perpetuals on PulseChain, I'm pretty sure, was what most people were talking about.
We've been going hard on Deci on PulseChain.
Yeah. And I've also found that when I've talked a little bit of smack about Hex on Ethereum, I've had a lot of pushback. I had a lot of people like sort of not wanting to hear it, sort of thing. And then that I thought maybe I've got it wrong. Like, maybe, you know, so that's why I always sort of say, it's your money. You make the decisions. Don't listen to what I say. Listen to what I say if you want, but make your own decision based on what I've said and what heaps of other people have said. But you're the one that pushes the sell button or the buy button. So take responsibility for, you know, that sort of stuff. And look, I do feel really bad for anyone that has lost, you know, a lot of money on the EHEX side. Like, my heart goes out to them. So like, I'm not trying to diminish that loss. And yeah, I've lost, you know, because of my EHEX stakes, I've potentially lost thousands of dollars as well. So
for sure.
I sort of definitely feel for those guys. But yeah, I think moving forward, it's kind of like you got to take it on the chin, and then kind of look forward to the future. And is it going to help us to be spiraling to depression and negativity, or is it better to look forward and be positive and try and like see the opportunities where they exist? I think that's probably the more productive path.
No, you're right. Yeah,
for sure.
But yeah. So you were saying about RH's tweets, man. I was just going to pull up a couple of things. Okay, let me firstly just quickly say g'day to the chat, because I really appreciate you guys.
Good day,
Ollie, the legend.
G'day, Ollie.
Ollie.
Awesome to see you. And thanks, Wall to Wall for commenting. Appreciate that.
Sure.
Clintrons, always in the house. Thanks, bro. Hans P. Hey, there he is. He was the guy that did the Is PLS live when we were doing, remember all those test nets we're going through? And now he's got his own Pulse coin thing, which is like a launch pad, I guess. Ash is late to the party. That's cool, bro. I hope the baby is going all right and you're not staying up all night.
That's for sure.
Yeah, okay. This has been brought up. So there was an X-Hex airdrop apparently coming through. Jack Levin was talking about it when that new X1 chain comes out. So this is the Zen guy. Yeah, I like free money.
Free money, baby.
Yeah. Hey,
let's go.
airdrops, do it. Like, let's see it. You know,
So is that being dropped on PulseChain? On PulseChain,
no,
sorry.
No, that's going to be a true to Vampire Jack's form.
Yeah, on his,
he's going to be, you know, trying to vampire the community, the hexagons, to come over to X1, but it hasn't even launched yet. So, you know, we'll see what happens with that. But
you guys remember the Pulse Bitcoin and the Pulse Doge airdrop? Were you guys getting those?
Yeah.
That thing had some legs, man. Woo, that was crazy. I don't know what happened that, but
yeah, Pulse Doge, I think it was. I sold it all. I pretty much sell all my airdrops, man. And
that's what happens. That's what happens with airdrops. Like, you give people free money. It's like they don't value it like that. It's like, oh wow, okay, let me put it into some things that I really believe in.
And sometimes what I tend to do, actually, I shouldn't say I sell them all. I'll generally sell 50%. So that way, it's the regret minimization thing that Tangent talks about, where it's like, you know, never sell none, never sell all. Like you don't want to be like selling some airdrop and then it just starts going ape shit later on, and then you look back going, I can't believe I sold it. So 50% that way, because if you're not sure, it's either going to go to zero or it's going to go to the moon. Well, that's a 50-50, right? So take the profits, put in something you believe in, but then keep that 50% as just a, you know, free money moon bag.
That reminds me of something you were saying before about people who might have been telling people to go all in on eHex. Like, first of all, who are you listening to telling you to go all in on anything? You can't play ratios if you're out of the game. Like, you gotta, I mean, like, you don't want to diversify to the point where, like, you know, you split your stuff up all the way and you can't really capitalize. But you gotta, you know, you gotta
have some hedges. You've got to have some hedges here and there. And like you say, you know, you don't know which one of these, you know, PLS Inc, PLSX or Hex, like they could all pop at different times. Like the SAC wallets, I've been buying them all at different times, and it seems to be relatively unpredictable. So
you're just gonna FOMO back and forth, like every time something, like, oh my god, I missed that one, but it's like it doesn't make any sense.
And that's what we're seeing, man. That's what we're seeing. Like, people just emotionally just going, I'm going to go all in on Inc now, and then it's like, oh, I don't think that's a good idea.
They want that quick money. They just want it quick now, right away. Give it to
comes down to patience. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. G'day, Tom. How you going, mate? Chuck us a bundy.
Mate.
Are you in Queen? He must be in Queensland if he's having bundies.
Yeah.
Bundaberg. Baby, it's good. That's
what's
good.
Chuck us a bundy mean?
Like just throw us a Bundy and Coke, like
Bundy's a rum.
Oh, it's a rum. Okay, cool.
It's a rum and Coke. So
I'm learning.
Yeah, man. I'm so impressed that you got that Foster's, bro. That's wicked.
I saw that can. That was sick. Yeah,
that shit is. This is the craziest can. This is the only thing they had over there. This thing is massive.
I'm actually jealous. I actually really want to try.
It's good. It tastes. I'm not like a huge beer guy, but it tastes good. It's smooth.
Yeah, that's cool. It. Beer.
Oh, and look at this thing. I just got it. What is this? Whoop whoop. Yo,
whoop, whoop.
Yo, the Australian wine game is crazy over here. There was a whole aisle with Australian wine, and I saw.
Cool.
I don't know,
man.
Whoop whoop. Apparently on the bottle it says like middle of nowhere.
Yeah, right.
So I was saying it was like a term for that, but we just be like,
there are some really good wineries here, particularly in my side of the actually really all over Australia, but in Margaret River, so sort of the south of my state, those Margaret River wineries are like world renowned. Like when I was in Hawaii, I remember one of the places we went was like a really nice fine dining, and they had, you know, Margaret River wines and all this sort of stuff, and I'm going, hang on a tick. This is the one that we have at our local, but and South Australian, the Barossa wines and things like that. I'm more of a Scotch person, but I pretty much drink anything, man. People like, do you like tequila? I'm like, hell yeah, I do. And it's like, do you want some vodka and whatever? I'm like, sure. What about a gin? And I'm like, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
So anyway, apart from my functioning alcoholism, I'll just bring up a couple of
down today. I got a coffee, so I'm going hard.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah. Nah, that's okay.
I got about 3 hours sleep, and I've been wrecked all day, so it's like, I smash a coffee. So that's all good.
Yeah. Was it like kids related, or
I
kids
just
always keep me up?
work until real late, and then just sort of out of whack, and then I felt really ill for some reason.
No.
So yeah, just like in the stomach, just I don't know what it was, but yeah. So I've been down and out for most of the day, but I've resurrected
Sorry
for
to hear
this,
that, bro. That's it. That's the way. Yes,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Good form, bro. Pump a coffee and just carry on. I like it.
Smash it out.
I was going to just, in the spirit of being bullish, this was that thing I was talking about before that Carl Hex guy pointed out, and I did notice it as well. So Richard Hart was talking about every start stake, end stake, or swap on Ethereum chain robs users of dollars because of the abusively expensive gas fees, and the real bull run hasn't even started. So that's kind of a powerful sentiment there, because people are kind of looking to RH for clarity, and I think he's provided that. But he's also kind of implying that like these pumps are just pumps for ants. Like we're still pre-halving, and we all sort of thought it's going to be end of 2024 into 2025, maybe even late 2025. We might see that real hyper phase of the bull market. Yeah. So people probably should just chill out and just trust the process. Like it's there are times where you go sideways, and there are times where you get wrecked, and the times where it pumps. And we've got a little taste of it now. And I think even this morning, I saw that, I think it was Storyteller or someone had said that he'd bought, or the SAC wallets had bought some Hex on PulseChain. So I don't know if you guys saw that. Like literally today.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
But not much.
I just saw the price this morning just coming down pretty hard. So
it basically got sold down pretty hard.
Yeah.
Sentiment all-time low. Yeah, that's always a good time to be buying. And then bam, address started buying Hex. So this is the D-Bank one. So apparently, this is like this morning. And so I guess we can have a look at the charts, but from what I saw, it had been sold down. Like there wasn't, I think it was only like 100 grand or something like that. Like it wasn't heaps, but like, give it time. I'm not relying on this these SAC wallets to be the thing. I think naturally, when the markets start to recover, we'll see pumps, all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, it was probably this one here got bought up and then sold down. So yeah, there seems to be a lot of people almost taking their anger out from the EHEX debacle, on the PulseChain chart. But to be fair, it doesn't actually look that bad. Like if you look at Hex on PulseChain on the weekly, we're still making higher lows.
Yeah. And
it kind of looks like a rounded bottom. Because this was another point, is that the Ethereum Hex just got so wrecked. Like, I don't even want to pull up that chart. Like, it's fucking...
Don't do it. It's not...
Yeah,
it's too soon. Man. It's too soon.
No, it's too soon. But like, even before, like, RH gave it the double tap. Like, it's like... It was a... And people would sometimes say, oh, let's have a look at the ETH. I'm like, oh, I don't want to free it up, man, because it's just 99% down. It's just terrible. And so in terms of framing, like I think Richard Hart is really good at framing, and he's always been, amazing at that sort of, he'll always count from the bottom. So even though, say for example, PLS might be, 50% up from the day one, the SAC, the 1x sort of SAC, at 00015, but he'll count it from the bottom. Like he'll say, because it went down from 403, so it's actually up like 5x. So that framing, it's kind of triggering a little bit. but it is also the way that you need to move forward if you're trying to onboard people. So when you're looking at showing people, you know, oh, this is hex performance, if you pull up that phex chart, it looks fine, it looks good, and you know, there's been a migration, and then this is how we're looking moving forward. Once we get above this sort of natural line of resistance here, wrong tool, but once, if we can get over this resistance here at like 2.6 cents or whatever it is, 2.7 cents, turn that into support, we're going to be in price discovery.
People will be in euphoria at that stage, and that'll be barely into the bull run, you know, that people will be jumping up and down. So
price discovery, man, like there's no resistance here, like above. So this chart is just much better to deal with. So I think that's part of the reason. But you know, Richard's proclivity for reframing is like, he likes to be able to point to the charts and say PLS is up, you know, 400%, and you know, and then he'll be able to point to the hex on PulseChain chart and be able to use those bragging factors. But yeah, I also feel bad for people that have bought eHex after the you know, PulseChain went live, because they wouldn't have got their copy. So that's like part of my cope is like, oh well, I got my copy and this and that, and then I've only ever bought like on the PulseChain side. But there would have been people out there just, so yeah, shout out to those guys that got a bit wrecked there.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I'd be interested to hear from them, like what inspired that investment decision, rather than just be like, yo, how do I get to PulseChain immediately? I need to get over to PulseChain and figure PulseChain out.
Yeah.
Because like you got to figure out PulseChain before you can even get hex over on PulseChain, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, unless they're just used to, you know, doing things on Ethereum and don't want to cross the bridge and all that sort of thing. There seems to be a little bit of that fear there, but yeah, definitely wouldn't have been the best idea to just go into one. That's for sure.
Well,
I miss Coast, man. When Coast was rocking, that was crazy. I was getting ready for that. But hopefully that's coming back. That's going to be a good onboarding tool. The bridge is, you know, a little cumbersome. Even like people talking about Binance and coming over from that side, I haven't even learned how to do that yet. Apparently the fees are
BNB.
Like, from BNB, it's like less fees and stuff.
Yeah, I was just going to talk about that. So it depends on your bag size, right? Like, so because the bridge, like the main bridge on PulseChain, has got 0% fees going to PulseChain, right? So if you're, as a percentage of like a large amount of money, that's actually the best bridge to use, you know, and sure, you pay $100 in gas or whatever. But if you're talking about small amounts of money, and some people they like to DCA in, you know, a few $100s here, a few $100 there or whatever, then that's when you start looking at BNB, because there's the token express, token sex. This is the one that, so the easiest way to find this, right, is if you go pulsechain.com and you go to the bridge, like this is the main bridge, right at the very bottom, there's a community site called Token Express. And then you can actually go from Binance Smart Chain straight to PulseChain. So that's one way of doing it. My only problem with that is when you go BNB, you end up with wrapped BNB on PulseChain. So there's not a heap of liquidity for wrapped BNB on PulseChain. So if you're doing massive orders, you know, to swap out of that, you might see some slippage. There's other ones as well. There's PulseLN. This one is a little bit weird because you've got to put in your PLS address, and then you put in like a transaction hash or something, or there's like a code, and then it comes at the other end.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
You send it to an address. I think I've used it once, and I was like, oh, but yeah, a lot of people use it.
Fingers crossed, this is coming back on the other side.
Yeah, there's something about just doing a send to an address where you just like going, hang on.
Crypto
but
is
apparently
very permanent.
Yeah, it's the whole not your keys thing. But there's also, is it Spark Swap have got their
sparkswap.xyz, and you use SDI to come across, and that's actually got, I just had a look, it's got about 700,000 of liquidity on PulseChain. So you can swap SDI for DAI pretty easily. And that Spark Swap actually has really good incentives if you want to do like LP farming and stuff like that.
Yeah, I had a bit of a look.
Bridge, as a bridge, it's got quite a bit of liquidity there for, a few $1,000, bridges or whatever coming across. But yeah, you definitely wouldn't want to do, 6 figures sort of thing with anything but the PulseChain.
Yeah, you do have to consider the liquidity on the other side. These farms are pretty cool, like the APR. I tend to only do liquidity providing and farming between tokens that I want both sides of the pair. Yeah, like that I actually value both sides. So I'm a little bit hesitant to do because I don't know the performance of this Spark coin. So I wouldn't do that, because you might end up with a whole bunch of the Spark coin that could be going down. I learned that lesson, I think, on the 9-inch ones when that first came out.
So if you click on that sparkler on the left-hand side,
sparkler, yeah.
They call this I can't remember what it's called, infinite farming or something. Anyway, Tangent will be able to tell you. But if you can basically lock up your Spark in there that you make and then get more Spark.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that tokenomics always concerns me when it's like you just lock it up and then you get more.
It seems to hold right for a while at the beginning, and then most of them, the charts don't look too good toward a little way in. But using it as just a bridge to get onto PulseChain from BNB, I've heard it works well. I haven't done it myself yet.
I think you're right. It's actually got some other cool stuff. There's this vaults thing where you can do. It looks like I think it compounds. So say you've got a yield farm where you're earning ink, it'll take the ink and then reinvest it into your farm so that it's compounding like all the time. So I think, you can, I haven't really looked at this. You can do it in terms of APR. So if you're doing the Pulse DAI, the APR is 247. So this is 100% compound. So it takes all of your ink and then reinvests it back into the farm.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So that's how you can get more APR than if you just go on.
I've kind of been playing with that just on the PulseX farms, just putting my ink into one of the ink farms. I don't know if yield farming is really like for a bull market. This is going to be my second bull market. They say your first one is to learn from, your second one's to actually make some money on. And I don't know, man. I just want to see number go up a little bit. So I'm like, see how that works. And it's funny you mentioned the 9-inch thing. I learned that even from when PulseChain launched, how those farms, you guys remember the farms when PulseChain launched?
Oh
yeah. They were out of control.
Out of control, and people bought ink all the way up. And then but you see it start to dwindle. And then, something like 9-inch, it even happened in like a week or two.
A week.
Yeah. Week,
API was like 1,500%.
Yeah. So that was crazy. Got to learn. You only learn by playing. You got to try things out,
Yeah, that's it. And you don't have to do this with your entire stack. I think that's an important message.
Exactly.
It's like, you play around with some of these things with maybe a smaller percentage until you feel more comfortable, or that you track it with a spreadsheet and see if you're making money. Like if you're not making money, don't do it. Like if the impermanent loss is too high. Because I was doing that with the Ink PLSX farm, and I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. And then Ink started just going bananas. And then the impermanent loss was so high that I'd made hardly any ink over that period. Like it was only a small amount, only a few days, but the price had gone up so much. And I went and looked at it and I was like, yeah, it's probably not worth being in this farm I would have been better off just to keep it, keep those two assets and just see the price appreciation. So I think, like you say, yield farms and liquidity providing are great for a sideways market where you're just earning, yield in the form of ink, or if you're doing LP, you're just earning the fees. But when you start to get these massive moves up in a bull market, then, the impermanent loss is now, a significant factor.
So maybe that's the move, is like kind of play with it a little bit. And if you see things start to heat up, then maybe pull some of it just so you can, or like try to measure where you were in at, you know what I mean? And see if you actually did go sideways for a period of time.
Yeah, experiment with it. I encourage that and see for yourself. But one thing I would say is that LP is a great way to DCA in and DCA out. And so if you use it like that as a tool, if you've got, like, say, I was saying the wrapped ETH and wrapped Pulse pair, then as Pulse is taking a dump, it's 10% down or whatever, you're buying that dip up with your ETH bag. Then maybe at some point when you think it's going to be, going up or whatever, you might want to pull that. And then later on, when you think that you want to take profits rather than just market sell, you can put it back into that and you're sort of DCAing out as the price goes up. So you can kind of,
you're saying, but I think you really got to have that impermanent loss calculator out, because it is buying that other token, but it's not buying it at the rate of like if you were selling at that exact price. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
Like if anybody messing with LP, a liquidity providing, pull up that impermanent loss calculator and just do some numbers and see what it really is, like how much of your stack is. Good point, and that's on the downside as well. Like that's extra loss on the downside. It's like on the upside, when you're going up, you're gonna see like your total value of your LP go up, but it's gonna be different from if you were just holding those coins and they weren't in the liquidity. But on the way down, there's some extra loss that's going on because the coins went down, and then the difference between how much those coins actually went down compared to each other, there's some little funky things going on there.
Yeah, and it depends if you're in a stable coin, asset pair. So as it's going down, you're just you're buying it up, or as it's going up, you're taking profits. But when you start going into like wrapped ETH, then you've got to consider the ratio of wrapped Pulse to wrapped ETH or whatever it is, so that you have to have confidence in the other side of the pair, you know what I mean? So I'm always kind of happy to accept a little bit of impermanent loss, because I actually think that ETH is going to go up. I reckon we'll see, $10,000 ETH this cycle. Yeah. So I don't think it's such a bad thing to end up with a whole bunch of ETH. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's true. But over that trade period, you might go.
ETH. 10K ETH sounds good to me. I mean,
we're just gonna hope there's plenty of liquidity on PulseChain, because you won't want to be selling it on Ethereum with the gas fees. So you bridge it across and claim it and then sell it, and you've lost how much? So
who knows what the bridge fee is going to be at that point too. It's nice that there's no bridge fee right now.
Maybe that's the plan with those OA wallets buying, or the SAC wallets or whatever, buying Ethereum. Maybe they're, if they bring it over and then provide liquidity with it, it might be a way for us to, get out.
I've heard that theory.
There's plenty of theories. So
it makes sense though, because then you capture that upside, and then you can pull it out and sell it and pump if you're going that route. No expectations. But
I mean, there could be all sorts of things. Like I often wondered if the fees that were earned on the bridge couldn't be used as some sort of buy and burn as well, because we've got the PLSX buy and burn, which is only going to increase with more volume and into the hyperphase of the bull market. But these fees from the bridge, maybe there's a potential for something to be done with those fees as well. Who knows?
Who made the bridge? I don't even know. I don't know where that bridge came from. It just popped up.
Well,
I downloaded it on my computer. Those EXE files freaked me out, but I was like, all right, we just got to go for it. We just went for it. Try a small amount and it works. You're like, all right, we're good.
I mean, you can always use the IPFS links as well. I
Yeah,
tend
no,
to
it's
use.
solid. Like they get vetted after a while, you know what I mean? And like people like it earns your trust at a certain point, you know.
Yeah, for sure, man, for
But
sure.
that
And
was
look,
freaky.
I always go through PulseChain.com and
Yeah.
then click on Bridge. That way, I'm like, I know that I've got the latest version of these IPFS links, because that is one thing that can happen, is that, you know, the IPFS links, if you bookmark them and then it goes to a 1.0.8, you could get a little bit of trouble there. I've also got an extension up here that flashes purple when it's got the latest version. So that's a Poseidon did that one. So when you're not on the latest version or whatever, it just goes like silver.
What was that extension called again? I really liked that, but I've forgotten to ask.
Yeah, I can have a look, but
yeah. Nah, cool.
Poseidon is the guy, POSEIDON.
Yeah, I've got him following him.
Yeah, it's got all the different versions of stuff. I've had it in a previous stream, but you can basically get it from like the Chrome extension store. Cool. But I think going through PulseChain.com, clicking on Bridge, you get the latest IPFS link, and that my pinata thing has always worked for me. Like I have not had any problems with this one, so that's what I tend to use.
How about Go Real DeFi?
Go Real DeFi? Yeah.
It's a good site. Yeah.
That site is fire.
That's what always happens with me. But anyway.
What? Oh, you can't get it over there?
No, it's just my stupid antivirus.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, it happens sometimes. So
that's like, as far as onboarding goes, man, that keeps it simple. That thing is clean. You got everything right there. The exchange, the bridge, hex staking.
I have to whitelist it. Yeah, because it is a really good site.
Yeah.
Now shout out to Max Max RH, I think he's
RH Max, yeah.
RH Max.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, RH Max is a legend.
RH Max.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did that not come up? I swear we're getting gate kept, man. The whole community. Even when I type in like Richard Hart, it like doesn't come up with him. You have to type win at the end and then it comes
That's
up.
dodgy.
But yeah. RH Maximalist. Yeah, he's a smart guy. He knows what's up. So yeah, there was so many. So just to finish that sort of thing, there is the Spark Swap bridge as well, because we talked about the Spark Swap thing, like the farms. But apparently this bridge is good as well for going on the PulseChain, like to Binance Smart Chain.
Yeah.
So whereabouts is that? Maybe too hard basket for right now, but definitely there are cheaper ways to go on via BNB. I think you can use Arbitrum as well. Let me see if the chat says anything. No, okay. Or maybe I'll have a play with that while we're talking.
Come on, chat.
yeah. The price goes down, the chat goes dead, man. This is what happens, and the views and stuff as well. So don't feel too bad about your first live.
That's all right. If you're in the chat, shout out to you. This is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, VTX, I like, just quickly touching on some of your videos, I like the way that you're explaining stuff really simply to people. I think it'd be good for, new onboards or people that are, really wanting to learn the basics. I liked your blockchain video, like just talking about, the real down to the basics and giving good explanations and examples, of how it all works. I think, people should check out your channel because it's, I don't know, you put a lot of effort in there, but it's just really nice and basic where people can understand it easily. So
I really appreciate that, bro. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm trying to do this Real DeFi 101 series. I put that first, that blockchain video out, and the second one I'm going to talk about EVM and smart contracts and how Ethereum. I did a take of that already, and I watched it. I'm like, all over the fucking place. I got to redo this one. But I have so many friends and family that were like also pushing me, like, you're really into this. Why don't you? We don't know what you're talking about, but you should make some videos. So I started, just as a part of the community, you know what I mean? And we all know what's going on, but I'm like, you know, how about some beginner stuff for people? And there was one video I found. I can't remember exactly what channel it was on. It was a 45-minute video. How does Bitcoin work? Sort of thing with some like illustrations and stuff. And I had to watch it twice in a row just to kind of, so what I need to do is like have it sink in and understand it to a point I can like put my own spin on it and like regurgitate it in a way that I'm like, okay, this is how I would explain it. And if I don't really understand something enough, I'm not going to be able to teach someone else about it. And something just clicked because I figured out how to use this stuff, but I didn't really know. And so many people, like, you know, you're talking to them and their eyes just like kind of glaze over and they're like, oh, crypto, I don't know anything about it. It's risky. I know someone that made $1 billion. I know someone that lost all their money. Like they're just, you know, they don't know where to start, you know?
Yeah,
exactly. Can be daunting.
It can be, and I remember when it was daunting for me, man. I remember that. I remember those days. It was just like, whoa.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And a lot of people know Bitcoin and that's it. They're just like, oh, you're into crypto. Oh, yeah. I like Bitcoin too. And
you're like, here in the crypto. How many Bitcoin do you have?
It's like, so Bitcoin is cool. And it's been really pumping and that's awesome. And it does tend to drag everything else up as well. So there's different times, I guess, to get into Bitcoin. And unfortunately, the best time is when it's max pain. So
not on the top of the 6 monthly green candle.
yeah, exactly. 6 monthly green candles, man. That's out of control.
That's wild. I think that's a record, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. And I mean, I pretty much just did the cycle theory where I was like going 52 weeks from all-time high would be the bottom. And I called that BTC bottom to the day, like literally, because it was exactly 52 weeks. Like it wasn't hard because the cycle was repeating. So, but that was like 15K Bitcoin. And
so even in the midst of the FTX and all that sort of stuff, you're like, this got to be the bottom.
Oh man, I was saying that I was predicting,
man.
I was predicting the FTX. I was like, well, I said it 3 months before the day. I've got it. That's my pinned tweet on my Twitter. Is that, and where I've got it screenshot where I said it 3 months before and said it was the 10th of November because it was like that was just the day that was if the cycle repeated. And then who's to say what happened with FTX, whether that was the day they chose for it to all come crashing down, because it was a bit of a coincidence that that it was exactly that day, which is what it has been in the past. Like, so that's the interesting thing as well, that if it's 12 months from all-time high to all-time low in the previous cycles and it repeated, it was like basically 3 years from previous all-time high to breaking that all-time high. And then, but this time the ETFs have accelerated it and we've broken the all-time high pre-halving.
It was amazing.
That's never happened. So, but it's not to say that it's not going to go back down and then still at the 3 year mark, like November 10th again, it might be still back at all-time high. Like, you know what I mean? Like and then it can be cyclical, but yeah, it's certainly never broken the all-time high before the halving before. So you kind of think that maybe if the ETFs have accelerated the cycle, that maybe we might see the hyperphase of the bull market before where we expect, which was, November 2025. It might pull that forward as well.
Buckle up. Buckle up.
Exactly, man. Buckle up. Like, it could get real. I mean, I was predicting, 120, 130K Bitcoin. But yeah, I think RH was saying double that, 240.
It's looking like it could just blast past that, surely. Like, just the way it's been moving this time, it's pretty unreal watching it just pump, a couple of grand in a day or something.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's been insane. Like, you got to assume that it's going to pull back at some point. But I've seen
only forever. I don't want to hear that. I want up only forever.
Up only forever. Depends if you listen to Michael Saylor.
Yeah, isn't that what Hex was supposed to be?
Yeah,
that's what everyone was talking about at one stage.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the T-share rate goes up and to the right, because it always goes up.
That's true. No, that's a fact though. That's
a
fact.
That's it in hex terms. Yeah.
I don't know how sexy that is in a bull market, but it's a fire. It's a real thing. Like it's real. It like those T-shares never go down in price.
Yep. With respect to hex.
With respect to hex, exactly.
That is true. So no, it depends who you believe. Like Michael Saylor has been doing the rounds recently, and he's been talking about Bitcoin. Fuck, it was funny. Like some of the stuff that he was saying, man. Lil Bubble actually did a clip of it, which I thought was hilarious, but it triggered a lot of people.
I haven't seen it.
Do you have that?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'll pull it up.
Nice.
I thought it was hilarious, but keep in mind, like trigger warnings. But
toughen up, everybody.
Exactly. Like have a laugh. Jeez.
Everyone's already feeling pretty triggered, I think. So
yeah. So what more damage can we do?
Yeah,
Emotional damage. Okay.
Sorry. That's right. Where's my? You might have missed this one at the start.
Emotional damage.
That's
I love it. That's cool.
All right. So that's the trigger warning, people. But yeah, no. Look, I saw Wendy Oil or something was like, this is really just disrespectful, and I was like, come on now.
She got to do 2 streams with RH. That one popped up on my feed today. I was watching a little of that.
Oh, really?
Cool.
Yeah,
anyway, I like Lil Bubble, I think.
But like most of the people who are buying assets at some point want to sell the assets at a profit.
People that use fiat currency as a store of value, we call them poor. We call them poor. People that use fiat currency, we call them poor. We call them poor. We call them poor. We call them poor. There's a name
with
for
the sax solo.
We call them poor.
We need more of this. Oh,
Yeah.
we need so much more of that stuff.
I
I love Westcott for that. Oh man, I love music videos. I love amazing stuff. That was hysterical.
Man. I thought
call them poor.
Call them poor.
Yeah.
I mean,
fiat is shit.
Yeah, that's all. That's right. It's this whole triggering thing that like people get upset by that, and Wendy O and all this sort of stuff. But like he's making an interesting point, and I don't think he's, well, maybe he is, but it's kind of like some of these guys, they're super smart, might be on the spectrum a little bit, like the way that they're just saying, like he's saying exactly what he's saying, and that it's that if you're investing in real estate, if you're investing in stocks, if you're investing, these are like appreciating assets that might be yield generating. You know, you might get your rent from your investment properties and things like that. You can pay down the mortgage. You can do interesting things with like interest only loans and yield bearing bonds. There's all this sort of stuff. But that's how the rich get richer, right? Like because they realize this and they don't sell down their assets. They either borrow against them or they accumulate these assets that are yield bearing and that they can use the yield to pay, so that they don't have to sell them. So I think it's actually,
you can only trade your time for dollars for so long. You gotta start investing. Like you gotta do something. And poor people, I don't know how many poor people even know what the word fiat means. So maybe they won't be triggered.
Yeah, that's right. It's by decree. It's by decree, isn't it? It's just like, it's not backed by gold. It's just, they've just said it's worth this much. Yeah. So yeah, what do you guys think about that in terms of like, apart from just, having a bit of a laugh, in terms of the inflation, just diluting your, the purchasing power of the dollar, and where you sort of see, I guess, holding cash in the future with respect to like holding like crypto or other assets?
Dude, except for a little bit of emergency cash, I'm all out of fiat. Like I'm out. I'm out.
My guy.
That's how I'm feeling, to be honest. So that's just me. no one else follow me unless you do your own research and decide to do it. But I'm all out of fiat. So
that's what we're telling people what we're doing. Is none of this is financial advice. It's what we like. This is how we view the world, but everybody's got to do what they want to do. So yeah, man, what's been crazy is we saw prices on regular daily stuff increase in real time over here, and I'm sure over there too. It's just so now it's not even like a guess anymore. It's like, oh, I literally saw this week and then this week and this week, just at the grocery store, and just things just went up, and people are like, oh yeah, things went up. And maybe they don't realize why. That's just things are just expensive, but it's because the fiat is worth less. That's how they can't take your money out of your bank account, but they can reduce your spending power by making things more expensive. So I don't know, invest in something.
These things go up at different rates as well, don't they? So some people will be like, oh, these secondhand cars are really expensive right now and things like that. And then, oh, now this is really expensive. And it's because it's a ratio of whatever the asset that you hold with respect to the asset you're trying to purchase. That's basically your purchasing power. And if your asset that you're trying to use to purchase is getting diluted all the time, and particularly extremely against particular assets that you might want to buy, you're almost better having your money in some other, it doesn't even matter what it is. It's if you had your money in Rolexes, for example, and then the Rolexes were going, they were going down against the price of a car, lower than the dollar was going down against the price of the car, then you're better being in Rolexes. It's literally just a ratio.
No, ratio trading is pure alpha. That's really the name of the game at the end of the day. It's hard to wrap your mind around, but when you look at those ratios and different charts and how things, and it's funny because I use the Gold Pulse website to track my wallet, and I have a burner where I just have $10 in a bunch of different coins that I just want to track, you know what I mean? And then you can see those. I guess it's similar to just having a watch list, honestly, but you can just see how things are going up. It's oh, this coin's going up this week and this one's down and that one, and you kind of just, if you're a freak like me and look at it every 2 hours, then you start to see it's just waving this, and you try to catch the wave.
It's a great idea having a dummy portfolio with buying the same amount in each coin and then watching how they move, because it's a different way of looking at the ratio that people might find easier to understand. And
then and you can do this on PulseChain. You can put $5 in each or $10 in each without a problem. It's no big deal. And then 1 week one's worth $20. And you're oh, that's funny. This other one's worth $5. Maybe I should just put $5 back into that one. And then you can kind of just do small amounts, and you sell when things are expensive and you buy when they're cheap. And it's that's the name of the game. Really,
you get used to those ratios. That's interesting.
It's cool.
The other way to do it, I also am a big fan of just in Dex Screener plotting your coins with respect to Rat Pulse.
Yeah. Oh, gotta do it.
Don't confuse yourself. Don't be thinking, oh, look at this coin's going up. It's
I was gonna say something when you pulled up the hex chart, but I didn't want to. You were kind of in your zone. But
that's okay. I mean, that was more talking about onboarding, for people looking at the hex chart. Because they will look at it in terms of dollars, but we're more advanced, and I think we want to look at things in terms of pulse. But you can do it in terms of ink, or you can do it in terms of whatever ratio you want. That's where the real kind of alpha is. I'll just quickly bring this up because I kind of brought it up real quick, but then I didn't say anything about it. So in terms of the fiat thing, I've seen this going around many times before, but this is the joke, so that these scam coins are getting crazy. Someone just shielded me 27 trillion in circulation, unlimited supply cap, one node, 25% of supply minted in the last 6 months, 1% of holders own 30%. Just jokes. That's the USD.
Nice. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, and no one understands that. That's the thing. If you saw this, you would be going, no, I don't want anything to do with this. And in 2020, 2021, that was actually 40% of the total supply in existence was printed. Oh yeah,
in a 12-month period.
What does that unlimited supply cap mean?
Well, they're just saying that they can print as much US dollars as they want, like the Federal Reserve.
Oh, they're talking about. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, scroll down. Yeah, joke. That's the US dollar.
That's yo, for real though. That's it though. That's really it.
That's it. That's what it is. Like they can just literally just keep printing it into oblivion. And if you saw that as like tokenomics of like a shitcoin, you know, you'd be like going, I don't know. And this is the strongest. Like this is, I'm not like taking anything against the US dollar, because the US dollar has been outperforming everything. And I'm glad that my crypto is priced in US dollars and not in Australian dollars, because the Australian dollar has gone down against the US dollar. So this is the strongest dollar we have in the world. And it's still, you know, getting hammered in terms of what you can buy with it, like in terms of the assets and its purchasing power. So, you know, I think that's an important point, like for people to like who aren't like no coiners and things like that. They wonder why we muck around with this sort of stuff. Yeah. And it really fundamentally comes down to that we kind of see that if you're just spending 8 hours a day working 9 to 5, you're going to earn so many dollars, and those dollars are getting diluted, and what you can buy with it, there's only so many hours in the day. So there's like a side channel way of sort of bypassing this, and it's crypto. And I mean, there's a risk spectrum of coins, just like there's a risk spectrum with anything. And volatility is extreme, but it can be rewarding. So you know,
it's hard to get to a point where you're just like, all right, it's a miracle that this even works. And if it goes to zero, F it. You know what I mean? It's like, it's tough. People, I remember being like emotionally attached to the dollars, but it's like you said, it's for more than that. It's like, you know, also freedom to control your own coins, you know, freedom to like, you know, sign transactions, freedom of speech. Like,
yes,
it's
great
like,
point.
It's really important.
That's the other side of it, isn't it? Is the censorship resistance, where you can kind of say you're in control. If the shit hits the fan, you know, you have the access to your money, and as long as you have internet access, which is there are ways around that anyway, decentralized internet and things like that. But yeah, you can always do peer to peer, and you're not relying on permission, and that's what it's about. That's the other fundamental thing: is permissionless. Finance, permissionless transfer of money, of wealth, of value, or whatever you want to call it, because we kind of don't feel like we need to be treated like children that says that you can only spend your money how I say you can spend it. It's like, well, no, it's my money, or it's your money, you spend it however you want. Like,
and asking all these questions, where'd you get this money from, what are you gonna buy, why do you want that much cash, like what get the hell out of my face. Like,
yeah, man, I think we all kind of feel like a little bit like, hang on, I earned this money, like, and it's been taxed like a million times, right? Like
every time they tax
every step of the way, it gets taxed. And what you're left with, then they tell you how you can spend it. So you're kind of thinking, hang on, I got to push back at least at some point here.
And if there's no internet, we got some serious problems other than how am I going to spend my crypto? Like,
yeah, true.
If there's no internet, I hope you have some water and stuff, like some food reserves, you know what I mean?
Well, you're talking about that, like the end of days thing, where that like boomers and that tend to go for silver, and they think that maybe they might be able to, like, you know,
they love their silver. Yeah, we were talking about the BankX sell wall and good old Lancey Boo and the silver peg thing he was trying to do, and it's just like, yeah, like the boomers, like they love their silver, their gold, and and I
mean that's another reason as well. I might actually pull that up, is the liquidity on the eHex thing. So this is a bit of fan fiction, you know, a bit of speculation, but you know how Godwale sacked a whole bunch of that BankX thing, right? Yeah. And then they've got this massive sell wall here. You know, there is some speculation.
Sorry,
what's that?
They must be still hopeful, hey? They're still we'll leave that there.
I haven't adjusted it yet. They're like, give it time.
Yeah.
I don't think that was some conspiracy where RH was trying to shake them out. Some people were talking about that. I didn't get that vibe.
Well, we'll see. I mean, it was Godwale, right? So, like, the first assumption is that if that Godwale is RH, which is, you could argue both ways. A lot of people say it's not. I know 43 says that he thinks it's Roger Ver. I have my theories about who it is, but but you could almost use it as like that was like almost like a signaling for the God whale to kind of, well, in my mind, that like now that BankX have got all this EHEX, like maybe we should be focusing more on the PHEX sort of side of things. But some people say it was like an accident, you know, he just fat fingered it.
I heard that.
But like,
yeah, I heard that.
I can't imagine that. Like this guy's like been around. He's sending
real.
left, right, and center. Like that was no accident. So
that was
you know, maybe that's it.
Donation to that project, man, for your silverback stablecoin or whatever. Holy cow!
Yeah, knowing full well that they would dump it. Yeah, I mean, anyway, I would have preferred to see some sort of OTC thing, because it's kind of like this sort of Damocles just hanging over the you know, the EHEX sort of price, and then sort of I feel like RH just came in this week and just, you know, gave some clarity in the form of double taps and just killed it, like just put it out of its misery. Like,
yeah, it was a bold move. You know, I can't, like, I have opinions about it, but it doesn't even make sense for me to say anything. I just like, you know what I mean? It's like I'm grateful he even invented this stuff. Like, I'm just grateful.
That's true.
I'm like super grateful, first of all. And second of all, he was, you know, if you know his story, how, like, what he came from and how he retired early and the businesses he built and his experience and like being Bitcoin OG, like super, all this stuff. I'm just like, okay, you're like Mensa smart and you have a lot of money and you obviously have pride in helping people. Because I watched all those live streams. We used to pull up with popcorn 3-4 hours every week. Those live streams were so packed full of, you know, information, comedy, just like everything. It was so entertaining and fun to watch. And it's like, all right, cool.
I agree,
Team
man.
RH, like Team RH. What do you want me to do?
I agree. I've watched all those streams and I've always sort of felt like I've got a good feel for who he is as a person, and I think he is a, you know, a force of good, and I think he is a kind of he's trying to help people. He's actually trying to, but you got to listen to what he says, man. Like you can't this whole thing that some people do, like the contrarian play thing, like you got to be a little bit careful with that, because he's always trying to like counter trade the masses or whatever. There's an interesting thing that happens in my state when there's a public holiday, right? Everyone goes down south, they migrate down to that Margaret River area, right? And everyone assumes that once the people finish work, they're going to drive down. So then people, what they do is they finish work early and they try and drive down earlier, right? But of course, every motherfucker thinks the same thing, and then it gets jammed like way earlier than it should, because everyone is thinking the same thing. Like they think that they're counter trading, but once everyone starts counter trading, then you are actually the masses. Like, you know what I mean?
That's where real edge comes in. If you have real edge, then you know it's good. But you know,
and that
takes years of experience. You know, pick it up real quick.
There's an experiment where they were talking about like it's like a thought experiment, but it's like you can actually play it out where you have like a whole bunch of people, and then, you know, 2 of them are the wolf or whatever, and they know who it is, and then the other people don't know who it is, and they have to pick who it is. And if you pick wrong, then you have to leave the group, you know. But then the wolf gets to pick people off, and it turns out that the wolf nearly always wins that situation, because the guys who have the information have such a huge advantage over the guys who don't have that information. So I'm kind of butchering that experiment a little bit, but it does sort of show you that, you need true edge. If you're going to counter trade, you can't just be like doing a counter trade that you think, oh, I'm just going to do the opposite. Because if everyone's thinking that, it's not a true counter trade.
But we have it. We have all these people wearing their hearts on their sleeves on the Twitter and all the social media, and just all emotion, because that's the emotion that's reflected. I believe that could be reflected in some kind of group thought. The emotional people are emotional people, no matter which side they're on. You know what I mean? They're the ones that, and that could be some data that we take there. That's why I don't really focus too much on prices too much, you know?
Oh, interesting. Okay. So you
as far
use,
as
use people-
targets, you know what I mean?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But if,
yeah.
if the people that are like really emotional are getting like crazy euphoric, and you start seeing, you know, we just gotta kind of just play it in terms of market sentiment, because it could go way higher than you could ever expect, and it could also let you down from time to time, and it's part of the wave, you know.
Interesting, man. Interesting. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's interesting to see how some people play these strategies in terms of looking at looking for euphoria in the charts, or looking for euphoria in the people, and trying to say that this is a top signal. Like when people start doing songs about Bitcoin, or you know, that's what it's been in previous years when they start doing these songs, or when Coinbase becomes the #1 app or whatever on
I heard
the
that
Apple
one.
Play Store. And it's like, so people are looking, they're always trying to look for these top signals. But I have seen that all the way up. People just go, that's a top signal, that's a top signal. And they've been wrong. Like most of the time, they're just calling top signals, and all the way up, they're calling top signals. And you kind of realize that, like, statistically, if you make a lot of claims, like, you're eventually going to be right. So
true, that's true. Also,
you got to be careful of
so
people that
hard
make
to
a
call
lot.
tops, man. Who's gonna call the top?
Yeah.
On the day,
Except
but I mean, like, you really gonna call the top? Like,
I know,
really?
man. Look,
Really?
I remember when Coinbase was getting listed when it was floating, and I was like, "Fuck, this could go either way, right? Like, it could just go down, but it could also just pump to just, you know, Valhalla." And it's like, you got to have brass balls, you know.
That's tough.
But you know, our man RH, I was just going to pull up a thing here, because Craig Wright in the week, he had been a judge, I think, had proven that he's not Satoshi. I mean,
I heard
we
that,
all sort of joke about it and say, you know, fake Toshi and things. But
what court was he in? What were they doing over there? You are not Satoshi. Like,
yeah, well,
really, like,
it's been going for a long time.
That's
been going for a long time, man. Can you guys hear that okay?
I don't hear anything yet.
Nothing.
Oh, no. Okay. I think what happens is I have to share it as a tab. 2 seconds. Let's just see that. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
I don't. Why do you pretend to not be hopeful?
Oh, I remember this.
Yeah.
He called him out.
I don't ever want to be in the public again. You know, you've bothered my family, you've bothered me, you've bothered people I work with. This will be the last time that you ever see me. Those words from your mouth. That's actually, I didn't want to go on television thing. Please no bullshit. One, that was an hour interview that was cut and changed, which you'll find out at court soon, which they altered and they asked different questions and gave different answers to.
So we'll do a new one. Are you Satoshi?
Yes.
Okay. So you wrote the Satoshi white paper.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
I
put a temporary limit in there after being badgered by Mr. Finney.
Right. So when you had access to the
this was legendary.
Code base and could update the GitHub, and when you had access to your account on Bitcoin Talk, and when you had access to your Satoshi and GMX.com,
you can't mess with RH, man. Like,
stop using those and stop having influence over the project. And then Sidechannel appear as a broke guy later with no successful business interests, no Bitcoin tied to his address, no running from the government in Australia from the Australian tax office.
Sorry, I'm not actually running from Australia. I'm in Britain. You know those extradition
I like
laws in Britain?
that's the bit he has a problem with, not the other bit.
yeah, right.
You make things up. That's called libel and slander. That's why I've already got a number of people in court, because they're dumb. They have no idea that you can't basically be a public figure in Britain and run from the government.
Right. You're only a public figure because you cosplay.
With the cosplay.
Satoshi would have been there with me fighting against BCH and taking ground. But you didn't even fork real Bitcoin. You forked a copy of Bitcoin. You had a copy of a copy.
I did not fork Bitcoin.
Fake Satoshi.
Bitcoin. So, no, you want to say these things and whatever else, and you want to say blah, blah, blah. No, I actually got to deal with Jihan. Jihan actually stabbed us in the back, so that's a different issue.
I was watching you during the hash rate race when you were competing with Kelvin's hash rate from CoinGeek to try and actually take over as the authority of the chain against Bcash.
No, actually,
Wrap it up. Wrap it up. Wrap it up.
Can you give a little backstory on that video?
So that's RH calling out Craig Wright as fake Toshi, many years ago.
Do you know what conference that was, or like where that was? Who is Craig Wright?
Find out.
I don't even really know who that guy is that well.
He's an Australian businessman that was, into Bitcoin early days, and knew enough to sort of, in my mind, it sounded like he could kind of pretend that he was Satoshi Nakamoto and that the inventor of the Bitcoin white paper. And a lot of people came out.
Just for like clout.
Some people are self-deluded, I would just say, like self-delusion, just general delusion. Maybe he just lied so much he started to believe it. I don't know. I think
there's people like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he just committed to it, and then because he knew that really the only way you'd have to prove him wrong. You know what I mean? It's like when people sort of make a claim that is unprovable, and then you can only be skeptical of it. But then also, I'm a big fan of the idea where, the onus is on the person making the claim. So if you make extraordinary claims, require extraordinary evidence. So if you're going to make a claim and that's pretty out there, you need to produce some pretty extraordinary evidence. And it would have been easy for him to just sign a transaction or send some of the Bitcoin to a wallet to prove himself, like in a court of law. It would have been easy for him to sign a transaction to prove that, and he never has. But a couple of people, Tangent probably know a bit more about this, but over the years there was that Hodlnaut, I think, guy who said he was wasn't Satoshi, and it took him to court, like massively, hundreds of millions of dollars into the court case. It went for ages, and then I'm pretty sure Hodlnaut guy won that case, but there was still so he didn't get done for slander, like he didn't, because you can get, or you can be liable if you make some of these claims. So that's why I got to be careful.
Like trying to impersonate someone else.
Well, the people saying that he's not Satoshi, he could sue them.
Not Satoshi.
Yeah, man. That's why you got to be a little bit careful with it, because he's got big lawyers and stuff like that. But eventually, it's just come out where a judge, I'm pretty sure. I think that's actually the tweet. So if I can go back to that, I think. Oh man,
that's wild. I just remember seeing that video back in the day and just being like, "Damn, look at RH do his thing."
Yeah, it's so good. Such fire.
Yeah.
I love it when he goes on those. Yeah.
And the fact that he was there in those days, calling him out in person, I think that was just because we were talking about him having the big balls to sort of call the top on the day, for the Bitcoin when the Coinbase floated, and then but he's always been like that, man. That's him in person, like calling it out, and then a judge, and this is paraphrasing, I think, but the judge basically came out and said that he wasn't the author of the Bitcoin white paper. So that happened this week as well. So I feel a little bit more comfortable calling him fake Toshi.
Fake Toshi. You're not going to get sued.
Yeah. Because it's like every time we sort of joke around, but then it's like, but yeah. So RH. Also, that was interesting because the history of Bitcoin, with Bitcoin Cash, like the fork of Bitcoin, and then you had Ethereum, and it was forked for, and there was Ethereum Classic that was left over. So I can't remember which tweet it was, but I think that at some point the implication that RH was saying that Hex on Ethereum would become Hex Classic,
Yeah, some people are starting to use that now, Hex Classic.
Oof. So that's a big oof, that one.
Yeah, because of the
turn the oof meter.
Because of how Ethereum Classic turned out, you mean? Or just like
a lot of people have, got a lot of Ethereum hex stakes out there and had a lot of emotions invested in it, and then now
They give
it's
it 10, 15 years, see what happens.
yeah. It's too soon, I think. A lot of people like a lot of the,
I mean, if people are staked out, they're staked out. Like, what are you gonna do? ES? I don't know.
yeah, ES
You
is
already
never a good idea.
planned. If you, I don't know. You planned to lock it up for all those years. Now you don't want to lock it up for all those years. Like,
Yeah, so that's
I don't know.
just emotion, man. That's just
It is
emotion.
big emotion.
And you know, there's been some other things happening this week as well, apart from the fake Toshi thing. There was the Ethereum Denkun upgrade. So we talked about this. The proto dank sharding, they've implemented, I think it's 6 blobs per block. I thought it was only 1, but it's actually 6 blobs per block. And I think they're going to increase it for the full dank sharding up to something ridiculous, like 64 blobs per block. That's when they're going to get the 10,000 transactions per second and reduce the gas. But at the moment, the proto dank sharding that was implemented through the Denkun upgrade has only affected the gas on the layer 2s. So Optimism, Arbitrum have been able to use that blob data on the Ethereum blocks to in their optimistic rollups, so that they can reduce their gas fees. So it's not affecting the Ethereum mainnet as yet.
That was another language to me.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that deep. Like rollups, you got dank, sharding, blob, rollup.
Yeah.
I don't know about all that stuff.
Well, so basically all it is you know, you got these blocks that are being produced with all the transactions, and I think they can only do they want to get 100,000 transactions per second for the full dank sharding, but the proto dank sharding that is just like a step along the way that only the L2s can utilize at this point. And the blobs, I think, it's like 0.75 megabytes of data, you know, and then so after every 2 weeks, these blobs, like they're not there for forever. They have like they're temporary.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and so the other thing that's interesting is like, I mean, I've got some stuff here, but I find people like really don't care about this sort of stuff. There's a whole bunch of EIPs that were implemented, but effectively, one of the problems that happens with the optimistic rollups is they bundle up a whole bunch of transactions, and then they assume that the transactions are legit, and then they process. This is on the layer 2s, right? These optimistic rollups, like on Arbitrum and Optimism, they process these bundles of transactions, and then they have these fraud proofs that come along, and people sort of say, "Hang on, you know, there's like a window where they can, argue that some of those transactions have been falsified, but once that window goes past, then the transactions are finalized." So, but the fraud proof thing, I've not hugely confident in personally, and I think RH actually did a thing about it where he was talking about, some of these layer 2s are actually like less secure, and then that's why he forked Ethereum as like a layer 1 rather than creating a layer 2 for PulseChain. But yeah,
they're trying to squeeze more information in on each block, and then they have like there's a window, like they can give us more information, and then here's your time, and then if it's good and it's not fraud, then we'll squish it in there like kind of later.
So they're optimistic that the bundle of transactions are legit, and then they have a window where the fraud proofs can kind of argue it. This is what he was talking about. So the L2s are not as secure as L1s.
I believe that.
And the decentralized sequencer turns off, disappears forever. And this is why PulseChain is Ethereum layer 1. So, and then he's got, this is the fraud proofs that there was some issue with centralization as well of the sequencer. And there was something else I saw. This was a ranking of the bridges. And so PulseChain, this is in terms of, I guess, TVL and like the rate, the proportion of tokens and market share and things like that. PulseChain is here 29, but it's predominantly Ether and stable coins and other. Some of these bridges, like this one, like, so they've got the fraud proof system is fully deployed, but it's not yet permissionless as it requires validators to be whitelisted. And then, but on Optimism, fraud proof system is currently under development. Users need to trust blog proposer to submit correct L1 state routes. So these are like flags. And I mean, some of these bridges as well are just like dodgy because like say, for example, this Manta one, it says that the Manta token associated with this Manta Pacific accounts for 38% of the TVL. So most of the TVL is actually in the token itself for that chain. And same with Metis, 95% of the TVL. So yeah, anyway, there's some...
Not a big fan of the name of that being fraud proof, because it almost makes it's opening a door for fraud, like to manipulate transactions in a way. Like I don't know enough about this, obviously, but in my head, it's sort of saying like it's leaving the door open for a moment for these transactions to be validated. But then it's almost like there's a second where it's like a third party that's saying, yes, that's correct or not. Whereas on PulseChain, it's just, or Ethereum layer 1, it just basically validates every single move exactly how it is, rather than leaving it open to then maybe change something. So it sounds like they're trying to say fraud proof to make it sound good when it could actually be for fraud.
It
leaves a
more
little
layer
window.
ones is like, that's the, if we're trying to deal with this Ethereum, sorry to cut you off, but
no.
I think RH was right. Like if you have a McDonald's and it's packed out, you don't just like you build another McDonald's down the block. You know what I mean? And like having another layer 1 is like, I get it. Like the bridge thing gets a little weird, and there have been like major bridge hacks in history and stuff, and maybe that's got to be like really figured out. But it's like, let's get it jumping. We got a brand new layer 1 and it's ground floor. And it's like, it's like all these little universes of these blockchains, and it should be really easy to be like boom, boom, all whichever one you're on. Like eventually I could see it getting to there. And we just happen to be on a fire one like PulseChain. Like it's amazing.
Definitely.
Yeah. And we've got a lot of communities building and things like that on PulseChain. I feel like you know how you sort of get the RH maxis that are like, you know, oh, it's only these 4 coins that we're interested in, and everyone else can go jump basically. And it's like, but you've got to bring in other communities, like, and the NFT guys do it, like Tangang and stuff like that. And people are bullish, say for example, on PLSX because of the buy and burn, and that is proportional to the volume. So the more volume you have on chain, the more it's going to buy and burn that PLSX, right? So dope. It's a dope feature. It's fucking cool, man. And you can see that when the hyperphase of the bull comes and our volume 10x's, well, then the buy and burn is going to 10x as well.
It's going to go crazy. The buy and burn is going to go crazy. That's real buy pressure. I don't know if people really get that. That's real buy pressure coming in. Like that's what you want. You want people to buy the coin and never sell it. That's all it does.
That's literally it's. Yeah. So I mean, the problem is that we have relatively low volume at the moment. So the buy and burn, it's doing a good job, but it's not, you know. And of course, speculation. Like people have just decided to value whatever the other assets, but now PLSX is actually starting to perform and outperform Pulse as well in some time frames. But I guess the thing is, like, you should probably encourage other communities and other coins and other projects and things like that to do their own thing.
We have
yeah, put more farms on PulseX, put more liquidity on PulseX, because the more volume you get through PulseX, the more buy and burn. So yeah, I kind of think we should encourage people, you know, and even with the like Tangang and NFTs, even when you deploy NFTs and you do swaps and you do sends, you're actually burning Pulse as well. Like Pulse actually has a small percentage which gets burned every time.
Every trade
it's
that goes through
disinflationary.
PulseX. Is it the only deflationary one of the
So,
lot?
So Pulse is disinflationary in the sense that every time you make a transaction, it's burning some part of that fee.
Okay.
PulseX has the buy and burn. So it not only it takes some of that fee and it buys it up and burns it.
Right.
So yeah, but Pulse still
it
burns
inflates
as well.
to pay the validators, right? But parts of those fees get burnt, so it like is less inflationary over time. That makes sense.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome, bro. It's been so good to chat to you, man. Is there anything else that you? Well, yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to chat about or anything before we wrap it up? Or
I just wanted to touch on that point. Like, yeah, we should be supporting like any community that wants to come on the PulseChain. You can't like build a city and then just be like, you can only go to this one school and go to that one pub and this one place. Like, PulseChain is for everyone. Like, yeah, we're Team RH and we love RH coins, but like it benefits everyone for the city to grow. Everyone. So if people want to play in poop coins and they want to think PDI is going to hit $1, and if they want to do all this kind of crazy stuff, whatever, like come speculate with us. We have a dope chain. Like it's an amazing community here, and play around, you know.
That's it. The chain itself. The chain itself is amazing. It's super snappy
so
and
good.
And people are building all sorts of cool stuff on it. So yeah, there's a lot of potential there.
What are your favorite projects that have been built so far?
I mean, I'm a HOA fan, but I guess I wanted to. I always like to plot things in terms of Pulse as well, because I kind of think like, for me,
did they airdrop you an NFT?
I've got heaps of NFTs.
Oh, really? They gave me like sunglasses. I looked in the. I don't really. I never did NFTs before. I just like kind of checked out. I forgot the name of the site where you go to look at your NFTs, and I just saw some HOA thing in there. I was like, oh, that's cool.
That's sick.
Yeah. There's a cool one. I think it's is it Pulse Market?
Yes, that was the one I checked.
Market.app. Yeah, and then you can just go to your NFTs and you can check out what's in there. But there's lots of cool ones, man. There's Hex Toys, and I think they're going to do an airdrop to the sacrifice set. So everyone who sacrificed is going to get something from the Hex Toys guys. But yeah, so like I like HOA and some other things. They're like just in terms of meme coins. That's just my sort of thing. But you have to be. Let me just pull this up. You have to do what we were saying before, is price it in Pulse, right?
Got to. Because you got to do it.
And if you were in this sort of time frame here, you would have been better in HOA because it was outperforming Pulse. If you were in this time frame here, you would have been better off in Pulse. So you can only be right for a given time frame. That's my new thing.
And
so.
Yeah, and if you're rotating back into a core position of a coin that's also speculative and you capture like a % gain on Pulse and then Pulse goes up, that's where like you can really make multipliers on that. But it's risky because it can go both ways, but you gotta think about that.
Yeah. I mean, look, I had some hedges in, said this before, in Pepe, and it was Pepe was going up on Ethereum, and I rotated it into buying Pulse. And that's like I don't see a problem with doing that. And so yeah, if people in the chat or whoever, Sami's in the chat. Look out!
No way!
No way, man! Great
Shout out, Sami. Oh yeah, that's my
up?
guy. That is my guy.
Keep up the great vibes. That's awesome. VTX Crypto is also awesome.
I've seen. I'm not joking. I've watched every single Sami video. I've been
man,
from the
it's
beginning.
hard.
Oh,
Look, it's-
wow. Because I found him early. I don't know. I was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
at this point, and it just popped up. I don't know, from the grace of God, it just popped up on my feed, and it's just been like that for years. That's like the routine. So, yo, the fact that Sami's here, it's crazy to me.
That's crazy, man. And I mean,
Love you, bro. Friendship confirmed.
Friendship confirmed for sure. And Sami does talk about this as well. So this is the p-hex, you know, priced in Pulse. And I talked about this verbally, but this is the first time I showed it on, you know, the chart today, about how you would have been right, you know, to be in hex over Pulse for this time frame, and then right to be over in Pulse over hex in this time frame. So maybe we're going to start to see a reversal. We're starting to get round to that real lows of like 85 Pulse per hex, things like that. And or maybe the trend continues, you know. Sami talks about that. And yeah, one shout out to Sami, you know, because I gave him a little bit of grief earlier about saying about the, you know, the contrarian things is good, but you've got to be careful to always be like, you know, contrarian, because if you have an investment thesis and then you start going contrarian to that, you're flipping back and forward too much, you know. But one thing is, like, shout out to him for his consistency and for putting out content. I mean, that's hard work, right? Like, to be putting out that many videos a day for such a long period of time.
Thought he was AI. People were
yeah,
saying
people
he was
just
AI.
assumed he's AI.
And then he came out with the camera. It was crazy. And I got it.
Like,
I just want to say one more thing. I'm so sorry. Like,
no.
real, I not only might, no, I would have sold the lows in the bear market. Like, I was just down and out if I didn't find Sami. And I wouldn't have gone as hard in the depression if I wasn't following him.
Yeah.
Wow.
And about the contrarian thing, it's different if somebody's trying to guess, but this guy is obviously 18 hours a day. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he is in the, I don't know, man. Like, it's next level.
But I do feel like if the more frequently you know you have to produce content, then and he's obviously trying to make it entertaining, and it's really hard to produce that much content. You can't,
so hard,
you know, it can't be accurate all the time because you're making so many, you know, calls. So yeah, but just for the effort, I think, yeah, massive shout out to him. But I think you got to stay the course.
Calls, though, like he's not really making calls. It's kind of like this could happen or this could happen. So just be prepared.
Yeah,
you know
the
what
language.
I mean? It's like,
yeah. Well, I would say
it's how people are going to interpret it. You can't help how people are going to interpret it. But he's like, I feel like he's trying to prepare us for different scenarios. So like, it's the exact opposite of that person who's like, you got to go all in on this or you got to go all in on that. He's like saying, you know, different things can happen. And then people say, you said this might happen, but you know what I mean? It's like, it was, you know, he's got like 17,000 prophecies. Like,
yeah. And the more discourse, the better. So that we talk about it, we flesh it out. And, but yeah, my sort of thing is, you know, I think the trust in IH is like, you know, the magic carpet ride. Like, you know, I wouldn't fade it. I wouldn't fade him. I think, you know, fade him at your own risk, because the goat of you know, of crypto, RH is just, you know, he's just getting started, man. Like he even said, like the bull run is not even, you know, the hyper phase of the bull run is not even here yet. So you just gotta have a little bit of conviction, I would say.
I've learned way too much from RH to fade him. Like,
that's right.
Learned way too much from him to fade. Can't do it.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome, bros. Shout out to Finbear and Ash. And the chat. Thank you guys very much. And
AI is an understatement. That's hysterical. I love that.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
amazing. This was so much fun, guys.
Awesome, man. And thank you for coming on. I appreciate you, particularly with your time zones and everything as well.
Oh, not a problem. This was amazing. I appreciate you both so much. Sorry, it's 3:27. I don't drink. I'm halfway through this big ass can, and I gotta be up for work tomorrow.
Well done, man.
Thank you so much,
guys.
bro.
Thank you so much.
Good on you, dude. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, True Blue. Did you have any closing remarks or anything?
Not really. I just think, what you're saying, don't fade RH. But there's clearly been some sort of thumbs up or head nod from, you know, his lawyers or legal team or something for him to be making all these moves. You know,
Good point.
there's so much happening, and he's talking so much. So
I forgot
I
about
reckon,
the
yeah.
SEC.
yeah, I reckon
yeah,
we
man.
can't wait long.
That's going to be big news.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
that's
is a
gonna be big
sentiment.
news.
It is a sentiment change where he was almost running his tweets through like a legal department.
Absolutely.
And you know,
Yeah.
it was becoming very sterile with his tweets. And then, you know, and then all of a sudden, sack wallets are moving. They're doing heaps of shit. They're using Maker, they're MakerDAO, you know, they're bridging in, they're buying ETH. He's just like lighting people up on X, on Twitter.
Yeah,
It's like
gone ballistic. Yeah,
craziest thought.
exactly. Yeah, go.
This is complete speculation. If he knew that, like, for some reason that ETH could be called a security, but like PulseChain was safe, and he had to say some crazy shit. Don't listen to that. I don't know why it just popped into my mind, but it's just like trying to wrap my. That's fucking. I don't know, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
I
I'm
mean, there
tired
could
of
be
stuff.
changes in maybe there could be changes in the case. You
He
know,
knows
he would
something.
know about it before we do. There's definitely been a sentiment change.
Definitely.
But I think,
like I say,
I think he should open up some farms. I don't know what we're waiting for, but to get, you know, people from other chains over and get them, you know, bridging over before their gas fees get too high. And then once the gas fees are massive on the other chains, we've got them locked and loaded in PulseChain, and they won't want to go anywhere else. And the liquidity will be there. So they're my final remarks. I think we should just go full send with the farms. So
awesome, bro. Love it. Love the enthusiasm. We better let VTX get some sleep, man. He's got to work in the morning. But thanks so much, bro, for coming on. Really appreciate it.
That was good fun, guys.
Your positive energy. Thanks.
Thank you to everybody in the chat. Also, you guys, thanks for hanging out with us. I had a blast.
Yeah, it's cool.
Legend.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, chat. Thanks, replay gang. Rock on.